How is criminal fraud defined in white-collar defense cases? Imagine someone convincing you to invest in a fake business or lying about your company's finances to hide money. That's the kind of deception we call criminal fraud. In white-collar defense cases, this means intentionally tricking someone to get money, property, or services unlawfully. Unlike crimes involving physical violence, white-collar fraud depends on lies, concealment, and manipulation. It's all about trickery used to gain an unfair advantage or profit. To prove someone committed criminal fraud, prosecutors must show for main things. First, the person had the intent to deceive. They knew they were lying or hiding facts on purpose. Second, there was a false statement or important fact that was left out or distorted. This false information had to be significant enough to influence the victim's decision. Third, the victim relied on that false information when making a choice. And finally, the victim suffered a financial loss or damage because of the deception. Common types of white-collar fraud include wire fraud, mail fraud, securities fraud, healthcare fraud, tax fraud, and corporate fraud. Wire fraud involves using electronic communications like emails or phone calls to carry out scams. Mail fraud uses postal services to send false information or fake documents. Securities fraud happens when someone lies about investments or stock information to make money. Healthcare fraud can involve billing for services that were never provided or overcharging. Tax fraud is when someone cheats on their taxes by hiding income or claiming false deductions. Corporate fraud includes activities like falsifying financial reports or insider trading. Defense strategies often focus on challenging one or more of these elements. For example, a lawyer might argue the defendant did not knowingly deceive anyone. They could question whether the evidence actually proves the false statement or concealment. Sometimes procedural errors during the investigation or prosecution can be used to dismiss charges. If law enforcement tricked or induced the defendant into committing the act, that might be called entrapment and could be a defense. White-collar fraud cases tend to involve complex financial records and detailed documentation. That's why having a skilled defense attorney is so important. They can analyze the evidence, question the prosecution's claims, and protect the defendant's rights throughout the process. In the end, criminal fraud in white-collar cases is about proving intentional deception for financial gain. Defense efforts often aim to dispute the intent, the false statements, or procedural issues to reduce or dismiss the charges.